Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at a brand new Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, Hatterene. Hatterene is a Psychic and Fairy type Pokemon, and it evolves from Hatterene, which can be found in the wild as a part of the Psychic Spectacular event. Hatterene, for its charge attacks, it is going to be running Psyshock and Power Whip, and for the fast move, Charm. In Pokemon Go, this is a very attack-weighted Pokemon, meaning it can output a lot of damage, but it's very frail. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and test out new Hatterene in action in the Psychic Cup. Hopping into the first match, picking up an amazing lead, Hoopa versus Rapidash, and look at the Astonishes go, absolutely shredding through the Rapidash. On low HP, Rapidash will make the Mega Horn, but I win switch. Hoopa's energy hits almost everything hard in this meta, but unfortunately the Pokemon that enters the field here, Oranguru, is just about the only exception, as Oranguru does have that normal subtyping, which means that the Ghost moves are single resisted. Oranguru is going to go for the Brutal Swing. That just does nothing. Oh my goodness. Opponent is going to be sending in Victini as I spam out these foul plays with Malamar. Malamar running Psycho Cut is an intentional choice. Psywave is better for the open Great League, but in this meta, I find Psycho Cut to be preferred because Psycho Cut allows you to get to foul plays faster, and spamming out foul plays is how you're going to win games. V-Create is going to land. I'm going to bring in Hoopa. I could shield, but I decide, you know what? Let's try and close it out with Hatterene. Opponent is going to bring back in Oranguru. These charms doing so much damage. Hatterene is going to get the farm down. In comes Victini. Victini gets charmed down as well. And that is a good game. We move to the next match, Hoopa versus Claydol. Claydol does have a slight pacing advantage in this matchup, as it can make the Scorching Sands before Hoopa makes a Shadow Ball, but the opponent doesn't throw right away. Either they're over farming or they're not running Scorching Sands. I will shield up on the Hoopa. Opponent actually running Rock Tomb. That's some very interesting tech. Even with the debuff, however, Hoopa still gets that farm down. Opponent going to send in Malamar. This is a Psywave Malamar. In comes Hatterene, and look at the charms go. Malamar getting melted, going to fire off the foul play. This foul play does so much damage. I switch out as the opponent tries to snipe with a Poison Jab. And their final Pokemon is revealed to be Galarian Slowbro. Slowbro is going to be spamming out Brutal Swings. Brutal Swing will hit for neutral damage, whereas Malamar can hit for super effective damage with Foul Play. Foul Play is going to be shielded up by the Slowbro, as that would inflict significant damage. I make it to another Foul Play, and while this will not KO, it's going to get the opponent very low. Opponent needs the double up, and they cannot get there. Malamar is going to secure the farm down. I switch out at the last second into Hatterene, snipe with a charm, and take the win. Lost lead in the next match, Hoopa versus Malamar. This Malamar is on Psycho Cut. I'm going to bank a ton of energy and bring in my own Malamar. Opponent saves their energy and they switch out into Slowbro. Baiting this out is amazing. Of course, Slowbro with Poison Jab would absolutely shred through Hatterene, so very good to bait this out, and now I can just make a play for switch advantage. I'm able to land that Brutal Swing, land the foul play. It's my opponent who's throwing Brutal Swings, and I throw a second one just to pick up the knockout. They could bring back in their own Malamar, as they can very comfortably outpace here because they have so much residual energy. So they do a nice job of overfarming, they can pick up the knockout, but now I can just bring in Hatterene and start doing massive damage with Charm. They are going to fire off the foul play. This will do so much damage to Hatterene. Let's see what is in the back. Oh my goodness, that's a Shadow Metagross. Opponent bringing the spice, but Metagross just getting absolutely shredded by Astonish. The poor Shadow Metagross. Someone was clearly tired of seeing Shadow Gardevoir. Malamar makes a move, but it's not going to matter. I can win with Hatterene. Turns out it's actually a superpower that will not KO, and I take the win. Speaking of Shadow Gardevoir, there it is on the lead. Opponent save switches into Bruxish, and I make a misswap. I bring in Hatterene, and Hatterene is going to have to go down a shield, which is definitely not ideal. I should have just brought in Malamar. Malamar does great into Bruxish, as Bite really does not add up against Malamar. Opponent has Hoopa. I don't really want to bring in my own Hoopa here, because the Astonishes just do way too much damage in the mirror. So instead, I'm going to bring in my Malamar. I'm forced to give up a shield early, as they will go for the Shadow Ball, and I just have to watch for a switch out now. So I'm going to fire off the foul play. That is going to be shielded. There's the switch into the Gardevoir. These Astonishes doing so much damage, but I don't get my final Astonish. Unfortunately, I switched and our fast moves were desynced because of the one-turn switch, and because of that, I just get fully farmed down. Nevertheless, we move to the next match. It's a Hoopa mirror. 3 fast moves is all it takes to KO. Opponent switches out into Shadow Latios, and I'm more than happy to stay in, get the damage, and snipe with Charm from Hatterene. I didn't want to switch lock myself. They bring in Hoopa. I get the farm down. What's in the back? Oh no, it's a Shadow Latios. This poor opponent just gets torn to shreds by Hatterene, and that's got to be the fastest game in Go Battle League history, as I'm able to take the win. Terrible lead Hoopa into Bruxish. I'm going to save switch into Malamar, and Malamar is going to fire off a foul play. Foul play into the Bruxish is going to be shielded. Opponent is going to switch out into Bronzong. Bronzong is running the fast move of Feint Attack. In previous iterations of Psycho Cut, Bronzong was very strong because there weren't a lot of fast moves that had either dark or ghost damage. So even though Feint Attack is a truly terrible fast move, Bronzong still put in a lot of work. However, the times have changed. There's now Astonish users, there's Sucker Punch users, so Bronzong a lot less potent than it once was. Hoopa is going to get a big farm down. In comes Bruxish. The quick switch to Hatterene. Hatterene is going to commit the shield. I'm probably getting hit with the Psychic Fangs here. It is going to be these Psychic Fangs. Opponent is staying in. Hatterene gets the full farm down. What is going to be in the back? It's going to be another Latios. People trying out the jet plane, but unfortunately, this team has so much play into either Latios or Latias. Picking up a positive lead in the next match, leading Hoopa into a Galarian Slowbro. Opponent is going to save switch into Malamar. I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball picks up the knockout. A high rank Malamar lives that, and that's what the opponent was counting on. But unfortunately for them, their Malamar was not good enough to survive. They get KO'd, and they lose a decent amount of energy in the process. Galarian Slowbro getting farmed down as well. In the back is Girafarig. People really bringing out the anti-Hoopa tech today. I go for the Shadow Ball. Now I'm just going to bring in Hatterene. To be honest, I don't know tackle Girafarig counts, so I'm going to shield. I'm probably shielding a Psychic Fangs, but realistically, it's going to be fine, as these charms just do way too much to Girafarig, and Girafarig is getting fully farmed down. Great lead in the next match, leading Hoopa into Victini. Opponent is going to save switch into Malamar, and I bank energy and then bring in Hatterene. But I've made a serious mistake. I farmed up too much energy before switching, and that allows my opponent to get a second foul play. So I say, you know what? Honestly, even not having switch advantage, I'm pretty fine. I go for the Psycho Cut. Farm down, but the Malamar lives on 1 HP. If I got that farm down, I was in such a good spot. But unfortunately, they are barely able to hang on. In comes Victini. I'm going to go for the foul play and then try for an Astonish Snipe. The Astonish does register in the back. Opponent has Sucker Punch Meowstic. And Sucker Punch is only on the male Meowstic. Meowstic is going to get a huge farm down, and at this point, this game is just lost. I'm going to look to farm up, but these Sucker Punches are doing way too much damage. I will go for the foul play. All the opponent has to do is shield, and they're just in the driver's seat. They actually let it go. Hold on a second. Is this possible? I'm going to look to try and double up. If I live this quick attack, I win this game. I go for the foul play, they shield, and I lived the quick attack. I thought that game was completely over, but Malamar able to hang on, and I actually get a 2 shield flex out of that game. We move to the next match, leading Hoopa into Malamar. Malamar on Psywave. I'm going to farm up a lot of energy, and I'm going to send in my Malamar. Opponent switches in a Delphox. Delphox, honestly, a Pokemon that I forgot was eligible in this cup, but since Victini's eligible, it makes sense that Delphox is eligible too. Delphox will go for the Mystical Fire. Mystical Fire, of course, does come with a guaranteed attack drop, and that means that, believe it or not, Delphox, despite being really glassy, actually can survive there. In comes Hoopa. Hoopa gets a very nice farm down. Opponent sends out Malamar. I tried to switch, but I accidentally tapped the Astonish, so the Astonish will go through instead. Opponent able to make another foul play, and I will commit the shield. If my opponent is going to try and shield here, then I do have a potential win con. And that plan is going to be to bank a Shadow Ball and snipe. I bank the Shadow Ball, Charm goes through, so they're KO'd. Now, whatever they have in back, even if it's something bad for Hatterene, I have a Shadow Ball banked, and it's Victini, and at this point, the opponent knows that this game is over. Victini is not winning Charge Attack priority versus Hoopa. They end up throwing their energy, but realistically, even if they left with the Charge Attack loaded, Shadow Ball on Hoopa, Hoopa's going to win Charge Attack priority by a mile. So by banking the move and sniping, we're able to take the win. Hoopa versus a Shadow Girafarig. Again, the normal Psychic types are out to play today. I will commit the shield. Opponent is going to go for a Psychic Fangs to apply a debuff. Look at these Astonishes. Astonish is resisted, by the way, and it's still doing so much damage. I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball. Down goes Girafarig. Opponent sends out Malamar, and I'm going to look to get the shield back. Sometimes I like to pivot out of here, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pivot out into the Malamar and just hope that my opponent is going to switch out, because if they switch out, then I can align Hatterene onto it later in the game. However, my opponent is actually staying in, and this is worse for me. I'm going to go for the Hyper Beam, just looking to pick up the one-hit KO. Hyper Beam just does not KO. Opponent has a bulkier Malamar. They can hang on, make the foul play, and I never should have given up switch. It's Galarian Slowbro in the back. I get some nice Astonish damage. I send in Hatterene, but Hatterene is just going to get destroyed by Brutal Swings. Opponent actually running Sludge Bomb on the Slowbro, but even if they went for a Brutal Swing, it would still KO. So unfortunately, if I just didn't give up switch, I would have been fine. And I believe I actually play against a similar team later on in these battles, and I make a better adjustment to not pivot out. All right, Hoopa versus Slowking, and look at the fast move damage. This cup, it is definitely a cup that exists. I will say that. It is one of the cups of all time. I'm able to win switch, which is quite nice. Opponent brings in their own Hoopa. I thought about just going for the Astonish damage, but I realized that I would really want to grab a shield. In the back, opponent has Gallade. Gallade, a very cool pick. I bring in Hatterene. My goal here is actually to stop tapping. That Leaf Blade is going to do a ton of damage, but I'm going to stop tapping because I want them to get me as low as possible to limit farm. Now, Hoopa is only going to get one Astonish head start, and Malamar is very comfortably going to be able to outpace. I'm one off the back-to-back foul plays here, so I will fire off the foul play. Hoopa shields. They're going to fire off energy, but since Hoopa's cheapest move is Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball is more than 50 energy, opponent actually showing that they have a double-moved Hoopa. That is a rarity in this cup. They were fishing for a Psychic debuff, but unfortunately for them, no debuff, so I'm able to take the win. Hoopa versus Galarian Rapidash. We saw this in Battle 1, and the Rapidash to get to a Mega Horn has to sacrifice like 95% of its HP, which is very nice, because Rapidash is quite annoying for my backline. So I do get a very nice farm down. Opponent deciding what to bring in. They're going to bring in Malamar. Now I have a choice. Do I actually decide to pivot, or do I decide to stay in? I'm going to learn from my mistake. I'm going to stay in. Perfect counting from my opponent. They're going to go for the foul play before I'm able to make it to a move. And now I can bring in Hatterene. Hatterene, this damage, charming all the way down. In the back is Claydol, and this is just a completely one game. Hatterene able to make it to a Power Whip. I think it's the first Power Whip I've gotten to throw in this entire video, possibly. The Power Whip gets the shield, and now I can just bring in my Malamar, and Malamar is going to be able to take the win. I believe the opponent actually ends up top lefting right here, so we'll just hop into the next match, and this is such a bad lead. Leading, oh my goodness, I was going to say such a bad lead, leading the Hoopa into BEM. I save switch Malamar. I believe that's a hidden power bug Shadow Reuniclus. That is absolutely awful for me. But they end up not double shielding. They had to double shield. I pick up the KO and I win switch. And now I have to decide what's going to be more valuable in the end game. I decide Hatterene is going to be more valuable, so I'm just going to bring in Hoopa. I'm basically just throwing away the Hoopa as Astonish's KO, but I'm trusting in the fact that with a one shield Charmer, I can probably win against most things. So I shield up the Dark Pulse, but I can't win against that. If I had brought Hatterene into BEM, I would have been in a good spot, but unfortunately I did not. I got the prediction wrong, and I end up losing. Hopping into the final match, Hoopa versus Rapidash. Opponent is going to save switch into Malamar, and this time I don't make the mistake that I did in a previous game. I switch faster. My opponent is going to get a foul play, but only one. I'm able to get the charm down, and not being down a shield puts me in a better spot. In comes Rapidash. Rapidash getting torn to shreds by the charms. Hatterene is going to fire off the Power Whip to force the shield. I'll bring in Hoopa instantly. Opponent is going to make the Mega Horn, but the Astonish goes through, and that will KO the Rapidash. It's actually a Wild Charge Rapidash. In the back, that's something that we've seen quite a lot today. These normal Psychics. Honestly,
in my view, I don't think the normal psychics are very good in this meta. Like, tackle on the... I mean, if you're going to run a fast move on Girafarig is probably the way to go, but I just don't think that this is the meta for Girafarig or for Oranguru. So I'm going to be able to force the shield with the Oranguru. Oranguru is finally forced to throw its energy because the Astonishes are doing so much damage even though they're resisted. And Malamar very comfortably lives multiple brutal swings, so I can just bring in the Malamar, have the foul play, but honestly, I can probably just Psycho Cut down from here. So I'm going to Psycho Cut down and take the win. All in all, final thoughts on Hatterene and its Go Battle League viability. As far as the open leagues go, it is no viability. It is a charmer, and there are just far better charmers. It's a charmer with very slow pacing. As far as the Psychic Cup goes, can you use Hatterene and get wins? The answer is yes, because there's stuff that's going to be weak to charm. However, basically in every situation in the Psychic Cup, Shadow Gardevoir is just going to perform better. Because if you're already glassy, you may as well maximize your attack stat, and that's exactly what that 20% damage bonus from being Shadow does for Shadow Gardevoir. So Hatterene, unfortunately, its stats just don't translate amazingly from the main series, so that kind of puts it on the back foot to begin with, and its selection of charge moves really don't do it a lot of favors. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.